Good morning my loves, welcome back to another vlog. I am ready for the day, as you can see. I've even washed my hair. I'm fresh and clean and ready for another day, and it is a beautiful day outside. It's making me very excited for my little spring baby. She's a proper spring chicken, and I think it just feels like something feels nice and hopeful and happy in the air. So yes, I thought today we would do a reading vlog. I don't think I've ever done a dedicated reading vlog before, so I'm gonna do one today. Also, I haven't really dedicated a lot of time to reading at the moment, just because I've been busy doing other bits and bobs. So I would really like to dedicate a day to reading. And I want to film a book video tomorrow, and I would ideally like to finish up a couple books that I'm sort of in the middle of. So I thought I would try and finish Titus Groan today and see how I get on with Jeff Vandermeer's Dead Astronauts. Don't know if I'll finish both. I would like to at least finish one. Also, I think, unless something rather drastic changes, this might be the last vlog that you will see from me pre-baby. I am not planning on doing any more filming after this point, and unless I schedule these all very oddly, I should have almost definitely had my baby by the time you're watching this, which is very strange and exciting. And it might be even that she's been in the world for the past couple of videos, I don't know exactly. But anyway, so yes, I have been doing a little bit of pre-filming. I haven't pre-filmed for the whole time that I plan to have a maternity leave, as it were, just because I got started a bit late. January was not as productive as I hoped it would be, but I'm hoping that I've pre-filmed enough that I shouldn't be gone for too long. Of course, I'm not entirely sure when I will be back. Hope it will be early May sometime, so that's when you'll see me next. So I think I should only be gone for a few weeks, but you never know. I don't know what will happen yet. I will keep you updated, probably keep you updated a little bit more on Instagram if I'm not on here. But yeah, so this is probably the last video you'll see from me for a few weeks, and also the baby should be here in the world. I mean, she is in the world right now, but just out and about, you know. Anyway, I think I might carry a chair outside and sit in the sunshine and read for a bit. Right, scratch that, friends. I'm not gonna sit in the sun because the clouds have come over and I've got wet hair, and I'm like, it's not that warm, okay? It's a little bit warm in the sun, but it's not that warm. So I'm gonna sit in the conservatory. I'm over in the main house. I'm gonna sit in the conservatory so I can still get some light and some warmth and some heat. Indy's just doing her ironing in there, listening to some music. So I'm gonna put my headphones on, put some white noise on, which actually I was planning to do anyway, because I think it helps me focus when I want to read. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to fill my water bottle up first. Delicious pasta for lunch. Very excited. So a little update. Still going on Titus Groan. I had a little nap. I don't know how long I was sleeping for, but I think it's probably not much more than an hour. But still going on Titus Groan, really enjoying it. Good to have my white noise, just helps crowd out other thoughts. I just think the descriptions in this book are crazy, like so good, so atmospheric. As you can see, I'm coming to you from the floor. I really want to lean forward. What I really would like to do is sit on the ball and then lean over the back of a sofa or something so that my arms could be up high so I could hold the book in front of my face so that I'm not like looking down too much. I think that would be the most comfortable for me at the moment. But it is tricky just with the setup of this room particularly, and also over there, to do the sort of ball and then leaning on something. I could do it on the table, I suppose. Take a pillow in to lean on or something. It's not quite high enough. Anyway, that's very boring, but carrying on with Titus Groan. I think I'll definitely finish this today. Might not get very far with Dead Astronauts. It's not the end of the world. I'll be glad to finish Titus Groan. I would like to finish Gormenghast in general, the trilogy even before Baby's arrival, because I feel like it's one of those things I just won't do after she comes. A bit like my Proust reading. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about it. But yes, I've just been enjoying myself today. Like I said, I haven't really dedicated proper time to reading for a while, for various different reasons. And it's just been so nice today to read. The sun has been coming in and out, and it just feels like, I just feel different. It feels nice. It feels like there's things to look forward to and things to enjoy again. So yes. Anyway, gonna continue with my reading. Sat on a cushion on the floor, kind of over the sofa, so I don't know whether that will help. It's not ideal because my legs are a bit squished, but oh well. Loves. So, had a dinner, watched Gogglebox. As you will well know from the title of this video, you already know this information, but I'm gonna put my February books in this video. I only managed to finish 3 books this month. Yeah, I think it makes sense, doesn't it? Which means I'm gonna sign off for the evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hi my loves, welcome back. I'm going to talk to you about 3 books I read in February now. It is the next day. I'm sorry if you can hear things going on. I can hear drilling in the distance. It's a busy morning here. The sun is shining in, but of course it's a little bit dark where I'm sat. But yes, whilst I may not have read that much this month, I think I've got 2 books which will be going into my top books of the year, which I think is pretty good going. So I think I'm working on this quality over quantity thing, and so far it seems to be working. And I did DNF 2 books this month. The Cloud Rose by Martha Wells and The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. I talked about DNFing both of those in recent vlogs, so I won't go into any more detail now. It is important to me at the moment that I'm reading books that I'm really just enjoying. I know time is limited before Baby's arrival, and I will not get as much time to read when she's here. And I'm sure I'll probably be a bit more ruthless when she is here as well with books, because yeah, you just want to read the good stuff. Anyway, yes, I thought I could put this in a sort of February-March books, sometime in the distant future in May. If you're thinking you're not going to read any books in March, I'm happy to read a few before she comes, but I will not be filming a March books, obviously. But I thought if I leave it that long, I will really not remember these books very well. So I did want to film and get this uploaded for you. I probably won't remember my March books very well, whatever I read before her arrival, but at least we've ticked these 3 off and I have talked about these 3. So that was my logic behind still going ahead, even though I only read 3 books this month. Also, if you watched my January books, you will know that book club for this book video I'm going to be uploading in May, hopefully, maybe June, who knows. The book is The Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. Anyway, let's get on with the video now. I have not read the entire Gormenghast trilogy. I've just read Titus Groan, which takes up this much of this book. But yes, I read Titus Groan by Mervyn Peake this month. As you will all know, I started this way back in October, and I ended up taking a prolonged break from it because I knew it was going to require a lot of focus and concentration, which I didn't have at the time. I wanted to prioritise some other bits, but I knew that if I did sort of find the right time to read it, then I was probably really going to enjoy it, delight in it, and appreciate it, which is all true. So even though it took me absolutely ages to get through Titus Groan, and you may think that is the sign of someone that is not enjoying a book, I beg to differ. I really, really love this book, and I think it is a work of genius. It is unlike anything else I've ever read, and it is well worth reading if you like sort of fantasy, weird genres. Weird fantasy. Anyway, so Titus Groan, first novel in the Gormenghast trilogy, sort of contemporaneous with Lord of the Rings, but I think it was actually written a little bit later. But the two are often compared because they're kind of big trilogies, big fantasy trilogies that were published around the same time. Gormenghast obviously being much lesser known, in my opinion. Seeing as the two are compared so often, in my opinion, Gormenghast much better. The writing is just of a much higher quality to me. Okay, I have read Lord of the Rings a while ago now, just really fantastic. But, you know, Lord of the Rings fans, please don't come for me. So this first book is a fantasy that's not really a fantasy. I understand that there might be more supernatural, fantastical elements coming up in further books. But really, the fantasy label for this book obviously comes from some real world building happening here, and also from its just complete strangeness. Like, it's not supernatural, but it's really weird. Yes, it's a funny book that defies the genre a little bit. It's also super gothic. It is about this earldom of Gormenghast, Gormenghast Castle being the sort of major setting for the action, but there's also like this weird village, I think they're called the dwellings or something, mud dwellings, that's outside the walls of Gormenghast. There's Gormenghast Mountain, and it's just this locale, essentially Gormenghast locale. And I think surrounding it is very inhospitable land, so it's sort of isolated. We don't really have a sense of where it is, how it might relate to our world. It just is. Gormenghast Castle is this big kind of crumbling castle. It's super gothic, but it's also doing so much more than just being gothic. I think Mervyn Peake definitely spent some of his childhood in China, so there's some Chinese elements that kind of come in here and there, but he is British and it's got that sort of gothic element to it as well. I think he was really influenced by Dickens in terms of his writing style. So it's got lots of different influences, and that makes it completely kind of unique. So this novel follows the first, basically from the birth of Titus, the title character, to him becoming an earling at 1 year of age. I don't think I'm spoiling anything there. Essentially, he is given the earldom at the age of 1. And in the castle, the family and all the servants, there's lots and lots of servants, some of whom are kind of key characters, are mired in centuries of tradition and ritual. But Titus's birth seems to bring about some sort of change. Things begin to change. It's very upsetting for some of the characters. This novel, I feel, almost sets up the other novels, not that I've read them yet, but it's a lot of kind of going from uber kind of stuck in their ways castle residents to the beginning of a new era sort of thing. So it is epic in scope. It will feel slow to a lot of readers. It's not a fast-paced book. It really builds the world. There's some subplots going on. Yeah, it's not super quick. I like the world building. I think it's necessary. It's just part and parcel of the style of the book. It's quite remarkable to read and unique and wonderful, but be warned, it does take a little while. Like I said, it does require a bit of focus, a bit of concentration, and it's good to be kind of sat somewhere quiet-ish and you can just let it kind of wash over you. I don't know quite how to describe it. By the way, I'm not going to do these two top books any justice today. They're the type of books you could write a thesis on, and my brain is not in thesis mode, so please forgive me. I'm going to do my best. I'm probably not going to do them justice. Anyway, so Mervyn Peake was not just a writer, he was a painter, and it really shows. The imagery in this novel is unlike anything I've ever read. There's some jaw-droppingly beautiful passages in here. There's stuff that's just so vivid and stark. It really jumps off the page. The environmental and architectural writing is second to none. He really paints the world for you in words. But not just that, his characters the movements and body language of his characters, their faces and the way they interact with each other, all of it has this kind of really vivid aesthetic to it. You can see the influence Peak has had on the likes of Tim Burton, Jeff Vandermeer, Neil Gaiman, all those sort of authors that are playing with the weird. Might also be playing with the gothic, but are often also just playing with the weird. His observation is just acute, like I said, not just in the aesthetics of place and space, but in his characters' movements. So I wrote in my notes at one point that he might have made quite a good actor, at least if he could reproduce what he writes in his own body, because it just really stands out and feels really real, even though it's also at the same time like uncanny and strange. At times it's quite funny. It is grotesque, and that can sometimes be quite funny, and there's definitely humour in there. His characters are like very exaggerated, but also on the other hand quite full of depth and dimension. You know, you come to feel they fit naturally within this world, and that they're believable within this world. Anyway, my loves, can't possibly do it justice. It's such a unique writing style, and he has such a vivid imagination. Like I said, does require a bit of focus, but very, very rewarding if any of that sounds like it might be your cup of tea. I'm excited to read the other two books. We'll see how I get on there. So next up we have Pew by Catherine Lacey. This was in my recent book haul, and I was so intrigued by the blurb that I just needed to get started. This book is also very strange and also quite wonderful, but very, very different. For starters, it's pretty short. The writing is very direct, quite pared back. Sometimes I complain that a book would make a great study or a great essay or a great thesis, but it's not very enjoyable to read. But this one I think hit both marks, which is great. However, when I read the blurb of this, which is that Pew, who is of indeterminate age, race and gender, turns up in a small American town in a church and sort of upturns the lives of the residents. I was thinking taut psychological drama. I was thinking something would kind of come to light about Pew maybe, but actually it's not like that at all. And there were lots of surprising elements in this. It's more like a modern fable commenting on what drives American society today, and also on a wider scale what it means to be human. It's kind of specific and also general in that kind of genius way that the best works are. Yes, I think it's kind of worth knowing it isn't a taut psychological drama before going in, that it is a bit more fabular, a little bit more strange. Otherwise you might end up being disappointed, because if that's not your kind of thing, you probably won't love this so much, because it leaves a lot to the interpretation, imagination, etc. So the first surprise for me was that the novel is actually narrated by Pew. I thought it would be narrated by residents, maybe even like in a collective way, in that weird collective way like in the Virgin Suicides or something. No, it is narrated by Pew. They don't give us any more information than they give the residents of the town. But basically the bulk of the novel is made up of Pew going around sort of refusing to speak about anything or identify as anything, and the townspeople sort of confessing to them. And then it all culminates in this strange festival of forgiveness, which is part of the town's history. It's weird, and I don't want to say too much about it. Is it a coincidence that Pew has turned up in this specific town? Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much about this novel, but certainly, obviously, Pew is commenting on what it means to be human, how important the body is to being human, how important it is to identify as something or with something, how that is kind of integral to being human as well, and what it might mean to really reject all of that, or what it might look like or feel like or come across as to really be nothing. Also, there's definitely a lot of religious material in here, obviously. The character's called Pew, found in a church. It's about the kind of limits of human kindness, the depth of our cruelty, the hypocrisy of humans. Yes, and I also thought there was also quite a lot, it seemed to me to be in here, quite a lot about this sort of obsession, particularly in modern American culture, of confessing trauma of the talking cure, which has become so much just like a part of standard society now. So Catherine Lacey's kind of investigating all of these things all at once. Lots of strange, kind of uncanny moments in here. Yes, I really think this is like a modern classic. It covers so much stuff. It really looks at that kind of modern American life, modern small town American life. And also because it is asking what it means to be human, it has sort of repercussions on a wider level as well. And I just think it's really fantastic. It's like a thought experiment, essentially, this book. And I think it works really well. I enjoyed it. Okay, final book, which I don't have, which is Greenwood by Michael Christie. I really wanted to love this. It's an intergenerational story from about the 1930s to, I think it's something like 2038 or something, following the Greenwood family all the way through. Focus on trees, sort of picked it up because it was about trees. Intergenerational story with trees sounds like my kind of thing. And obviously with the 2038 sections, we're thinking about the climate crisis, we're thinking about how important trees are and the fate of our trees today. Unfortunately, I found this novel to be just okay, which, as we know, is sort of my least favourite. I would actually rather a novel be outright bad sometimes, because then you can really engage with it, I suppose. Whereas this I just found okay, which made it disappointing. First of all, not enough trees. Occasionally brought in kind of facts about trees in a sort of half-hearted way. Not enough trees for me. Compared to something like The Overstory, to which it really pales in comparison, which really, really engages with trees. This just doesn't do it to the same extent. I also thought The Overstory sometimes had a tendency to want to pull at your heartstrings, which is something, it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when I feel an author trying to make me emotional. And I found it a tiny bit in The Overstory. I think I remember saying it at the time. But in this one, it's so much worse, and it's much more clumsy in its attempts, for me anyway. I also, when I was reading it, was comparing it in my mind to Jane Smiley's The Last 100 Years trilogy, which I read it last year and it didn't make its way into my top books of the year. However, I did really enjoy the majority of that. Just the final novel sort of ruined it for me, and that is the one that deals mostly with climate crisis. But anyway, I just think compared to something like Smiley, which is an intergenerational story following a family over a long period of time, the observational element's lacking. It doesn't feel like Christie was writing about how life was really lived. It's quite overly romanticised. It's almost like a fairy tale without the like fun fairy tale bits. It doesn't feel very real, which is what I like in my intergenerational family stories. And the writing just felt a bit, oh, I don't want to be mean, but just a bit like juvenile. Didn't feel very, like it had a lot of depth. The plot is massively convoluted and strange. Didn't really warm to any of the characters apart from one maybe. And there wasn't really enough of him or a very good ending for him. So yeah, all in all, I can't recommend this one, but there are a lot of people that really love it. So I would have a look at the reviews, see if the good reviews sort of chime with you. But for me, not a massive fan, unfortunately. And I think it just so happened to combine various of my pet peeves about novels all in one book, so it was particularly bad for me. Anyway, my loves, that's it. That's everything. That's my 3 books. Hope that you enjoyed. And yes, this is goodbye for a few weeks. I will miss you all very much. Hoping to come back with a good update for you all at some point in the future. But thank you all so much for watching today, and I will see you again very soon.